Welcome back to the cooking channel with Miss Marina. Today I'm going to be making homemade meatballs with spaghetti noodles. You'll need some ground beef. You'll need some seasonings like adobo, garlic powder, Italian seasoning. I have these mixtures of seasonings here, but if you don't have this, then it's fine because the meatballs won't really taste any different if you don't have it. I use an egg for mine to keep the meatballs together. I put grated Parmesan cheese, and then you'll need some sauce for your meatballs and your noodles. You obviously need noodles to boil to get the spaghetti, and I have my bowl here to marinate my meat and create my meatballs. You'll also need 2 pots, one for the noodles and one for the meatballs. I have sugar here because I like to add a little bit of sugar in the sauce. It kind of kills like the acid reflux you get when you eat a lot of tomato sauce. Some people do this, some people don't. It's okay if you don't. But yeah, with that, let's get started. So first, because you're going to be handling the ground meat and making meatballs, it's important to wash your hands. So I'm going to wash my hands. And while we marinate the meat, I think it's important to boil the water for the noodles since it takes a little bit of time for water to boil. That's something that you can get out the way while you're seasoning your meatballs and grilling them. So I'm going to fill my pot up with water and oil. Because spaghetti noodles are so tall, you want to fill the pot up with water as far as you can, or I know for some people they like to just cut the spaghetti noodles in half, but I won't be doing that. So if you keep them whole, I can show you exactly how you make them fit into the pot. And it's good to put oil in the water so that the spaghetti noodles don't stick together when they're boiling. So now for the meatballs, we're going to season the meat. And any leftover meat that you have, you can either save for the next day, or I sometimes make hamburgers out of my leftover meat. So because you're touching meat, you want to be extremely careful with the other stuff you touch. So if you go to touch anything else, you got to make sure you wash your hands off. I like to add an egg to keep the meat together so that when it is boiling, the meat doesn't fall apart. Sometimes that happens. So I add my egg in there. Wow, that egg is frozen. Look at that, frozen egg. But it's still gonna get used. Then I'm going to add adobo and all my other seasonings. And like I've said before, I don't really have a measuring cup for adding seasonings, so I just sprinkle enough to where it looks good. For example, that's what enough adobo looks like to me. Get that nice little yellowy color, but you don't want to make it too salty so you don't overdo it. And that's the same that I do with my other seasonings. So, got garlic powder. is very important for the meatballs. And then this is a different like variety of seasoning. I'm gonna use the sun-dried tomato and basil. I'm going to add some of this grated Parmesan cheese. And now I will mix everything up together and start to form the meatballs. So when creating the meatballs, you want to grab some of the meat and kind of get it into ball form. It's like, think about like making like a snowball or something outside, and you know, plop it all together. I kind of make big meatballs, so they could kind of be like cut up into two really when you're eating your spaghetti. But this is what your meatballs should look like, or you can make them smaller. And just keep making as many as you can until you have no meat left, or if you have a lot of meat, you can make burgers out of the rest of the meat for the next day, or you can make more meatballs and let them sit overnight and have them for the next day too. So it just all depends on what your plans are and how many people you're feeding. So now that the meatballs are all created, I'm going to enter them into my pot with the sauce. This Prego sauce is roasted garlic and herb. This is one of my favorites. It's very flavorful and it's great for meatballs. I won't need to use the whole can because I don't really have that many meatballs, so I can save some of this sauce. And I will add a little bit of the sugar to it. And I'm gonna add these two things in there just to give it some extra kick. Will cook for a little while, and now I'm going to show you how to add the noodles into the water. Now that the water is like at a boiling boil, you can add your noodles. So when you go to add these, you want to make sure that you spread them out, so you can put them in there and spread them in a circle. Ooh. Oh, one noodle down. And you'll start to see that some of the noodles will start to soften at the end. So you just slowly push the noodles down. And they get into the pot. And allow them to boil until they are soft. So this is what the spaghetti noodles will look like when they're done and softened. I added a little bit of oil and mixed it up so that the noodles don't get stuck together. So that's done. And the meatballs are looking like this. They need a little bit more time, but when you see that your meatballs are nice and brown, and you can even cut one in half to make sure and see that there is no more redness in them, your food is ready to eat. And thank you for watching my video, guys.